Hello, hello. Good to see everybody. Happy Saturday.
Hey, everyone.
Today is day 3 of our 3-day webinar, How to Be Happy Whether Single or in a Relationship. We are so excited to be able to come on live with all of you today. And I brought David with me today.
Hey,
Normally, lately, we have not been coming on live together. And so this is I figured this was a great opportunity to get all of your questions answered. And to be able to have our full attention, to be able to help you with whatever clarity that you need to help you heal from the cycle of toxic relationships. Now, this is day 3. However, if you did not watch day 1 and 2, it's okay. Please stick around for day 3 because you can always go back and watch 1 and 2. This is not just exclusive, like you had to watch day 1 and 2. Totally okay if today is the first day that you're coming on live. We can always send you, if you need the replay links, just comment replay in the comments and we will send you those replay links for you. But today is all about you. We want to be able to answer whatever questions that you have. So if you have any questions, now we are streaming live on multiple places. So we're on Instagram. We are on, Brilliant Life, or not Brilliant Life. We're on Being Love Shouldn't Hurt business page. So we're in a lot of different places. So if your question doesn't get answered, please still ask the question and tag us, and we will go back and answer it if we miss it for some reason. And if you're watching this as a replay, still ask those questions and again, tag us so that we can answer it as soon as we see it. All right. So feel free to start typing in your questions. We have some questions that were sent to us, that were emailed to us. So we have those questions available. But if there's anyone who's watching live who has any questions, please take this opportunity right now. Start writing in the comments. Now, this could be anything to lack of direction. How do you heal from healthy relationships? What does a healthy relationship look like, or heal from unhealthy relationships? What does a healthy relationship look like? What does David do with that mindset thing, that mindset magic that we keep hearing about? What is it that you have questions about that we can answer for you live?
Yeah, nothing's off the table, guys, and it's really cool. We don't do these live Q&As too often.
I can't even remember the last time we did one of these.
Yeah, it's been a while. I know some of our longtime fans might, kind of miss the days when we came on live on Thursday. But again, the reason we kind of shifted around our content strategy is because we want to make sure that we bring you, real relevant stuff that's easily digestible and quick to consume. Because realistically, there's so much that's demanding our time and attention. We want to be able to, fit you into our world and us into your world. So nothing's off the table. Let us know what your thoughts and questions are. And again, the whole context here is starting with relationships, what it takes to create and attract a relationship that is really deeply satisfying and fulfilling.
If not having a relationship, still be super happy. And that's one of the things I think, and I was out with some ladies last night and we were talking about how often it is that women have been programmed that if you're not in a relationship, something is wrong with you. And I don't know if that resonates for anybody that's watching this right now, but so often it's like, oh, you're single? What's wrong? And so we automatically are trying so hard to find another relationship to make us whole that we lose ourselves along the way. And we don't actually, find that we don't know who we are. We don't attract the right types of relationships when we finally do get into one.
Yeah, well, the point too is that, the entry point into our world is romantic relationships and stuff like that. But like I talk about all the time, we have relationships with everything, our outer world, our friends, family members, and of course, most importantly, the relationship with ourselves. And what we found is that the same principles that lead to happiness in a romantic relationship are a lot of the same ones that will lead you to being totally happy, even if you're on your own. And that's one of the big secrets to finding and creating your ideal love relationship is learning to be completely happy on your own. So you don't enter into any new situation, dating or whatever, with any sense of neediness. That's really the secret to our success. And we talk about that a lot, but this is, just one of the insights. And again, the opportunity to chat with us and have your questions answered is really powerful because in terms of moving our lives forward in the direction that we really dream it can go in, so much depends on the quality of the questions that we ask. So whatever it is, come as you are, let us know what's on your mind and what you want to kind of know about. Even if it's specific to your situation, you might find that, a lot of the same things that you struggle with, even though you felt alone and sort of isolated, are a lot of the things that most of us struggle with. And we're happy to be here to support you.
So we're going to go about an hour. That's our plan. If there's tons of questions and people want us to stick around longer, like we said in the beginning, we are here for you. So ask those questions. Anything that you've ever wanted to know about us, about what we do to help people, about healing, anything related to that, and again, there's nothing off the table. This is what we do all the time. So take this opportunity to get inside of our brains and use this knowledge that we've acquired over the years of helping hundreds and hundreds of women heal from a cycle of toxic relationships. Let us help you with that information that's inside of us. But we can't do that if we don't see questions from you. So I'm going to start with some of the questions. I don't see any questions live yet. Let me check Instagram. I see some people saying hello to us. Hello. I don't see any questions yet there. So what I'm going to do is start with the questions that were emailed to us. Does that work? Do you see any questions anywhere?
No, I'm going to jump into Facebook in the group though and see if I can see anything pop up.
Okay, cool. All right. So one of the questions that we had was, why is it so hard for me to focus on myself? And that is a huge thing that a lot of our clients, when they come to us in our 10-week program, they come to us and they say, I don't know how to focus on myself. I focus on everybody else. I'm the caretaker. I take care of everyone. And it's really uncomfortable for me to focus on myself. And for most of us, the reason why it's so hard to focus on ourselves is because, number one, we've been taught that's selfish. Like if you focus on yourself, you're not taking care of everybody else. And that's more the priority, right? And number two, it's if we focus on ourselves, then we have to see what is wrong, that there might be parts of us that need to be worked on. There might be parts of us that we don't know because we've been so attuned to taking care of everybody else and being so worried about putting everybody else's needs before our own that we don't know who we are. So imagine going out with a stranger and how uncomfortable that is. That's what it's like when you're like going out alone by yourself, or you're not in a relationship, because then we're not focusing on everybody else, on that relationship, on the drama of the relationship. And that's why a lot of people, after they end that toxic relationship, they feel lost. They go through a depression a lot of the times. They have lack of direction. They don't know what to do with themselves because they don't know who they are. So the real question, or the answer to that question of why is it so hard for me to focus on myself, is because we don't know who that person is and we're afraid.
Yeah. And a big part of it too that keeps us stuck is this idea that we need validation from outside sources. I talk a lot about emotional self-reliance. And one of the reasons people go from one unhealthy relationship into another, like I alluded to before, that sense of neediness, is because they don't have a deep and abiding internal sense of self-worth. Mm-hmm. And they lack self-esteem. They feel disconnected from a sense of purpose and passion that's independent of the needs and the opinions of other people. So, a big part of this process is getting in touch with who you are at a deep level, who you're, what you're here to do and to be, and get in touch with that place where your true value shines through, and that's independent of what anyone else thinks of you. Again, a lot of times we stay in relationships because other people feel that we should.
Yeah.
You get anyone resonate with that? Like you've been with this person for so long, you're really in tight with their family, that, you have all the same friends. And so it's difficult to even conceive of being alone, being separate from that. And, that social pressure plays a big part in keeping us stuck. The downside to that is you can continue going through your life without a sense of who you are separate from the relationship. And it just leads to, chronic stress and frustration.
All right. So I see a question coming in. Why is it important to wait a while before getting back into the dating world if I've been detached from my last relationship for several months, knowing we were over before I finally ended it? And then I think there's the follow-up question is, I feel like I've gone through all the grieving during that time and I'm just ready to find my person.
That's a great question.
Great question. Do you want to start with it, or you want me to jump in first?
Why don't you jump in? Because I know you got some insight on it.
Yeah, I'm eager for this one. Okay. So it is recommended for you to take about a year off, at least, between relationships. Now, it's not a tried and true number exactly, because the real importance is, what type of healing have you done between relationships? So my question is, why is it that you're so ready to jump into another relationship? Do you know who you are? Do you know what you want? Do you know what is important for you in a relationship? Do you know what the wants and needs are huge. When we've been in a toxic relationship, we've lost ourselves. We don't know who we are. So even though you were feeling like it was over and you were already done with it, you already grieved that, you've only been single for a few months. What have you done with those few months to help you connect to who you are without trying to fill that void of looking for another relationship? So I get a little nervous when people are trying to jump immediately back into another relationship before they've really done some good, solid work on themselves, because then what we tend to see is a recycling of toxicity. If we don't do the right work in between relationships, we will enter into another toxic relationship and we start the cycle all over again.
Yeah. And I think, Shauna, this is an important distinction, because you said you've been detached from the last relationship. And I think it's an important point to consider. What exactly do you mean by detached from the relationship? Because you can do all the things physically, like block them on social media, change this or that. But I think the bigger question is, are you detached from the underlying patterns that kept you in a relationship that you weren't happy with? I mean, you mentioned that you knew it was over several months before you finally ended it. So clearly there was something, going on there beforehand. Now, I also want to say that we don't have to feel guilty about wanting to be in a relationship. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's get real. When we talk, and again, relationships are sort of the entry point to our world, but there are three main things in life, the lack of which leads to the most pain for most people, right? Lack of healthy relationships, physical and mental health, and prosperity, financial abundance, that sense of safety and being able to provide. So let's be real, it's totally understandable to want to be in a relationship. That's why I said this is a great question, because a lot of people ask that question. Well, how long do I have to wait? Now, Steph said a year, and again, it's not carved in stone. Realistically, it's not about the time that you take.
It could be 10 years, but if you haven't done the right work, then it still won't be the right time.
Yeah, it's more about the quality. And again, this is an opportunity. It's important to consider, and hopefully this is helpful. But from my perspective, you can define what are your needs versus your preferences. And what do I mean by that? If you feel that you need to be in a relationship in order to feel worthy, in order to feel loved, okay, anytime your fundamental needs are dependent on anything outside of yourself, those things are always going to change. They're always at risk of changing. Even when you feel like you've got the perfect partner, they're locked in, they love bomb you, they do everything that you think they should and that you want. Anything external, anything you don't have control over, and let's face it, we don't have control over other people. Those things are at risk of changing. They always do change, even in healthy relationships, by the way. People still change. So if your happiness depends on that, then anytime that changes, you're at risk of losing it. Now, when I talk about preferences, what I mean specifically is taking the time outside of the relationship environment. So like Steph said, you can get to know and truly love and appreciate yourself. That way, you don't need to be in a relationship in order to feel that deep satisfaction, that sense of worthiness, that sense of being loved, because you're getting love from yourself, from the world, from the universe, from all of your relationships. Mm-hmm. And again, this is something that you learn to cultivate, right? And I love the expression, you get what you give, right? When you're in a needy relationship, in that sort of emotional, energetic economy, you're always looking to what's in it for me? Even if you want to give, there's usually conditions to that. When you become healthy and a whole individual, it's not about what you need or what you can get out of a situation. Your preference can then become, I would like to be in a relationship. I would love to be in a relationship with the right person, but I'm not going to settle because I don't need that in order to feel good. Now, the funny thing about that is when you reach a point where you don't have that neediness, the things you used to chase to fill that hole will actually start to show up more sort of magically in your life, which is really the key. When you chase something, it's just saying to the universe, I don't have this. I want this. And then the universe gives you more of that. Yeah, here's wanting. It's not the same as having.
And when you're you're putting out the energy of I need, then you're putting out neediness. And who's attracted to neediness? Narcissists, psychopaths. Those are the type of people, because they're like, oh, they need me. Oh, I can take advantage of that need. So when we don't need that relationship and we're filling up our own cup, that's where we start attracting healthier people. And I'm going to add, I was actually kind of like smiling as you were talking about, I was thinking about one of our clients who was in the Brilliant Life, our program, Brilliant Life Blueprint. And she was talking about how in the beginning, she was like, she was in the program. She's like, I'm not going to really listen. I still want to keep dating. And we kept bringing it up to her and saying, well, why is it that you keep dating? Like what? And it ended up that the reason why she kept wanting to date was because she was used to being in a relationship and she really didn't have a solid group of female friends. She didn't have really any friends. And so it was like towards the end of the program, finally, she was like, okay, I'm going to finally listen to what you're saying. And then all of a sudden she was like going for margaritas with one of her new friends. She was going places, she lived in Florida. She never went to the beach. She was going to the beach with her girlfriend. She was coming up with all these plans. And her daughter, who was 7, actually said to her mom, I am so happy that I'm getting to do these fun things with you, because the daughter was being left to the side while mom was just so focused on finding another man. And the daughter was losing out. So, having that core of friends, that those people, and we lose a lot of our friends when we are in these toxic relationships. Yeah. And some of those friends were toxic also. Sometimes we have not realized that we had that toxic romantic relationship, but sometimes our friendship circle was toxic as well.
Yeah, it really underscores the importance of having a circle, your own inner circle of people, because they say you're the average of the 4 or 5 people you hang out with the most. And if the person you hang out with the most is occupying the space that 4 or 5 good friends would take, right? Like, for example, because
they're energetically draining you.
Relationship, yeah. They're monopolizing your time, right? They're, demanding that you spend all of your time and energy with them. It's going to lower the average quality of your circle. And whether it's, influence in terms of relationships, your income, your physical health, the people that you spend the most time with, you can kind of look at the people you spend your time with now and, kind of get some insight into like, okay, why am I where I'm at?
Great question. Thank you so much for asking. All right. So I have another question that's, I have tried so many things to heal and move past or get better from everything. I've done therapy. I've done reading, self-help books, but nothing seems to work. What makes what you do different? Great question. You want to start?
Well, one of the things that we find that our most successful clients and students are those who have put themselves out there. They've broken this perception that they either can't figure it out, or they have all the answers, or that they're, out of necessity, totally self-sufficient. In other words, they're unable to ask for help. And it's important because, we've been on this path too of trying to figure things out. Mm-hmm. Now, we believe in addressing an issue on the level where it exists. Therapy, for example, you'll see lots of people in our group saying, oh, you need to see a therapist, go to therapy, whatever. And we've both been there. Mm-hmm. I was in and out of therapy for years, 1.5 a lifetime ago, Steph as well. And of course, Steph and I both studied psychology in college. You got your bachelor's in psychology. And we don't throw stones at that. Because, traditional methods, right? Reading the self-help books, talking to a therapist, they can be very useful in terms of kind of getting stuff on the table.
Gaining knowledge, educational
knowledge, right? Gaining some insight like that. Now, the problem is most people feel that they're sort of looking for a silver bullet or like a one-size-fits-all approach. And what makes what we do a little different is that we have a more comprehensive, holistic approach, which is not only supporting you mind, body, socially, spiritually, but also the fact that, of course, we're a husband and wife team who have a lot in common and a lot of aligned values, but also very different ways of looking at things. Mm-hmm. Steph is the relationship expert. I mean, she wrote the book on it, okay, which is a great book. So many of our members have really appreciated the tools and the insight available there. But also for my part, what I love is being able to help people understand why they're getting the results they're getting in their lives. Simply, it's a matter of what they're focusing on and on a daily basis. And then we address the root cause for our thoughts and feelings going in this habitual direction. We probably get more into it, but the method that we use to access your core subconscious programming and eliminate the things that are not reflective, the parts of your temperament, your personality that are not reflective of what you truly want for yourselves. We can change that in a matter of minutes. And it becomes not just, I'm just learning information. I got this new course or book, or I had a session with my therapist and kind of like I got some new insight. Because insight alone is not sufficient for change. Mm-hmm. I mean, isn't it true? Like, aren't there some of you out there who like, you know better intellectually, and yet you keep going through these same patterns and stuff like that. So it's not just about what you know, it's about knowledge that you become, right? Rather than just passively learning. So with our, holistic approach, supporting you, giving you the right information, the support when you need it, and also specific and powerful tools to put it all together. It's like, all the pieces kind of fit together. And the good news is, as a result of that, the changes that you really desire for yourself to see in your life can happen a lot more quickly than you realize. With
therapy like helps you figure out why these things are happening. With us, we help you get to where you want to go. We get that clarity, and then we give you all the support because we've been there. When we're in the toxic relationship, we feel like nobody understands, like nobody can really fully get why I'm stuck. I tell my friends, well, just get out, just, whatever. And it's so different as coaches because we've experienced it. Like I wrote the book and I wrote the workbook. I mean, I wrote 2 books because of the experience. I know what it feels like to feel stuck. And so having those exact tools, like you leave that toxic relationship and then you're like, now what? What do I do? I don't ever want to do that again. But how do I do that? Because a lot of us too, we think I can figure that out. But we found over and over again, and I found out for myself, that we can't figure it out on our own because our thinking is what got us to this place. So if we use that same thinking, then we're going to keep going back to the same place. And what we found over the years of helping hundreds of women heal is that the cycle actually will tend to get worse. We'll find worse and worse people that we will get into relationships with.
Yeah. And again, just to kind of put a bow on that, what we share with you all in this group and in our inner circle coaching program is the information, the tools, the techniques, the strategies that have worked for us. Mm-hmm. Okay. And we're very transparent about that. This is our viewpoint. Okay. And now
it's our viewpoint based on our expertise because we've helped hundreds of women. So that's really the expertise.
Again, not only that, but again, I think more importantly than that is that we've been there.
Yeah.
We've been in a place where we've just felt, depressed and anxious, near hopeless in terms of finding that perfect love relationship. So, whether you work with us personally or not, quite frankly, our recommendation is to seek mentorship from people who have been where you're at and who've actually achieved the things that you want to achieve. Okay. Because there's a level of authenticity when you're working with, and we employ the same thing with our coaches and our circle, the people that we associate with and learn from. We want to model people who have achieved a level of success that we've achieved. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And again, therapists can be very helpful, but we've seen time and time again where people have said, I've been going to therapy for months or years, and they just they kind of ask me the textbook questions. They don't really seem to understand what I'm going through. And, we get clear on why I need to change, but they don't actually give me the tools and the strategies to change.
I've had that twice in the past 2 weeks where I had clients during my one-on-one session say, I've been in therapy for like 20 plus years. And I put everything together in this one session with you.
Yeah.
One session. And they were like, oh my gosh, that's what it was. And we're connecting all the dots. And I always start my one-on-one session with like, all right, however long you've been in therapy for, what happens a lot of times after this is we connect the dots and all of a sudden we understand things that we never understood before. We never really got the information for before. And it's like, and every time it happens, I'm still like, wow, I'm amazed at how easily we can get information out of people to get them to see things they've never seen from that perspective before. And it's kind of, and they feel like there's a part of them that's like, I wish I would have done this sooner because I wouldn't have wasted 25 years in therapy and all that time and money. And then I could have just figured it out with you.
Yeah. And again, this is not to puff ourselves up. Like we're very humble. We're a mom and pop shop still. But
but we want people to heal, and that's the priority. We want to make sure that people are healing. So that's actually going to bring us
go with what works.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring us to another question. And by the way, I'm going to just remind everybody again that's watching, this is your opportunity. We have questions that were emailed to us, but we've got people watching on Instagram. We've got people on Facebook. Ask your YouTube. Ask your questions in the comments. We can see all the questions coming up. Ask your question. If you don't get permission to StreamYard and you're on Facebook or YouTube, if you don't get permission, we don't see your name, but we can still see the question. So don't worry about that. Ask the question. We'll make sure that we answer it. But if we don't see questions popping up, then we are going to answer the questions that were emailed to us. All right. So another question. Oh, that was kind of asked already. Is it just possible, or let's see. Oh, I've tried to date and it's awful. Is it possible that all the good guys have just been taken? All right. As the guy, do you want to, because this is, we do work mostly with women. So that is most of the time who we work with. We do work with men too. I have a few long-term clients that are men as well. So we tend to ask this more as, the male-female questions of, heterosexual couples. So I guess one of the things that we see very often is that women will come to us and say, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, I'm in my 60s, whatever it is. I've been on the dating apps. There's no good guys out there. And what I love about that is I was on a dating app. David was on a dating app.
That's how we met.
We met on a dating app. So, but here's the difference though. I was at a place in my life that I knew that if I was ever going to get into another relationship, I was going to expect them to have certain qualities that I had to have. They were non-negotiables. There was things I basically in my mind created the exact person that I wanted to be in a relationship with. And that's what I was looking for. So when I was on the dating apps, I was looking for a certain type of person. And so I would read their descriptions. And if they seemed even slightly interesting, I would send them a message. And if they turned right away to, wanting to send dick pics and ladies, we all know that this is like one of the things that I get, because I have a lot of clients who are like, all they want to do is sleep with me. Well, then move it along. Don't go with that person if that's not what you want. If you want to have sex and not have friends with benefits and that's what you want, then go for it. There's no judgment here. But if you want a relationship, you got to get real clarity. And then you've got to find out really quickly, are they deserving of my time? Because your time is very valuable. You're kind of doing, when you're meeting these people, you're kind of doing a summary of like, are these the things that I want in a partner? Are these the things that I'm looking for? And are they worth spending more time with? And if the answer is no, then we move it on to the next person. It is not helpful to anyone if we keep going in a relationship with someone that is not worthy of us. And that's what we have to kind of switch sometimes. A lot of us come into dating as, let me try to let the other person know that I am lovable, that they want me. We're trying to prove ourselves to the other person, where it shouldn't be that way at all. You should be yourself. And this kind of goes back to that question before. Be yourself, know what you want, have that self-esteem and confidence that I am amazing. And anyone that's going to be with me is pretty damn lucky. And when we go through that, we meet someone and they're like, are they going to take away from my life or are they going to add to my life? And because of all of those things, I was able to, if the guy was starting to be nasty to me, or if there was anything that I didn't like, immediately moved on to the next person, because I was also okay being single. I was very happy being single. I was not going to settle for someone that did not give me the things that I wanted and needed.
Yeah, look, this is a little frustrating for me as a guy because, first of all, I don't ever claim to be God's gift to women. Okay. And I did a training recently on what a quality man is and what they look for. Okay. A quality man is not flawless. Okay. And I want to share an insight that I've shared before. And this is just an analogy. This is in no way meant to objectify women. But when you ask whether or not there are good guys out there, you need to ask the question, are you selling yourself on the clearance rack, or are you holding yourself as a top shelf item? Now, there's an important key here that I found. And, you know, we kind of laugh too, because, you know, we'll have people say, oh, I want a David, you know, I want what you guys have.
I get that all the time. And I laugh because I love David. But, you know, it's just so funny when people are like, I want a David. Well, I get it.
Here's the thing. Okay. Now, and again, I'm not the same person that I was half a lifetime ago. Okay. Full disclosure. I had what I would call narcissistic tendencies. I was selfish. I didn't understand the dynamics of a healthy relationship in terms of being a giver rather than a taker. Okay. It's just the reality. The fact is that I learned a lot of the important lessons, because being who I was at the time was leading to outcomes that were not deeply satisfying to me. Now, there are certain things inherent in society today and in our culture that understandably make it seem that everyone is just, you know, one-dimensional. They only want one thing. Guys don't want relationships and stuff like that. And it's a little frustrating to me, because back in the day, again, I used to be a bit of a player, but the reality is
not surprising, right?
Yeah, well, but the thing is, I believe, and I know there are other men and women out there who believe in the principles of love and the virtues of love. And I don't mean like just like getting good at manipulating people and being attached to what felt so good in the past. I'm talking about things like respect and honor and chivalry. Okay. It troubles me, quite frankly, to see a lot of people, and specifically women in this group, giving up hope, like, you know, and man bashing. And again, your life experience, your experience of going through relationship after relationship with guys who don't appreciate and respect you would certainly seem to justify that. This is like a two-part piece, and it really boils down to one principle. Short answer is yes, there are good guys out there. And I kind of spoke to this in another metaphor in a training I did. Your perfect guy might be one in a million. In other words, that a quality partner might not be like right around the corner. There might not be tons of them for various reasons. Okay. Most people are in fight or flight mode. And as a natural response, they're only focused on like, what's in it for me? What can I get out of this? They're not in a healthy... And we give up
easily because we think our expectations are too high. So we're like, I'll just deal with this one.
And that's part of the problem too, right? We need to take a risk of being alone rather than settling. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. Good guys, good people are out there. Okay. Please don't lose hope. Yes, it may be true that the vast majority of people that come through our sphere of influence, the people we see on social media, which most people mistake for reality, are one-sided, right? The dating apps, they only want one thing. They want situationships. They'll play games with you as long as it serves them, and then they'll kick you to the curb. The reality is there are people out there who believe in love for love's sake, right? Like, I love women. And of course, Stephanie is my perfect partner. She's my queen. But this is like part of what attracted me to her, is that she allowed me to give love unconditionally. We didn't have that like game of going back and forth and playing games. We didn't have a sense of neediness. And she tells a story too. Like early on when we were dating, she had considered breaking up with me 3 times. And I'm like, if that's what you want to do, all good. Like, I'm just going to
look at those big blue eyes and I was like, how could I?
But
cute lips.
I mean, but realistically, like,
how could I resist this?
Thank you. Realistically, though, I had to be willing to let go of what I most feared to lose. There was a point where I was like, oh crap, I think I'm falling in love here. I think she might be the one. There's no way, even if I was inclined, that I could like hold her down or control her.
No, in fact, that would have made me run the other direction.
It would have been done so fast my head would spin. Mm-hmm. My point is, the person who's perfect for you, not a perfect person, but perfect for you, is out there. And I submit that they are waiting and hoping that you do the work to get out of your own way so that you can show up in the way that they need you to show up. They are also doing their work. They're not perfect. They've made mistakes. But though it may seem like on dating apps and stuff like that there are no good guys left, the reality is there are. And your perfect guy might be one in a million. But if you believe he's not out there, you will definitely never find him. So the key here is not like, part of it is becoming more of a master at healthy relationships. You go on the dating apps, yeah, you're going to maybe kiss a lot of frogs. You get the right information and the right self-perception, you'll be much better able to discern between the frogs and the princes. You'll be able to recognize red flags more easily. You'll be less inclined to be wooed by love bombing and get confused by that. You'll feel more confident to say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want. I'm not going to tolerate anything less. And if you don't like it, walk on by. And when you begin to develop this level of character, you will broadcast a different energy that will actually repel the parasites, those people who just want to like use and abuse you. But at the same time, it's going to put the vibe out there and begin to attract your perfect person. And again, it's a little counterintuitive because we're taught a lot that we need to, be better and look better and achieve the perfect body and come across a certain way in order to charm somebody. You know what? The person who's meant for you is going to love you just as much with no, makeup and like messy hair and, bad breath and like saying the wrong thing or being nervous or fumbling, just as much, if not more, than when you are like showing up prim and polished and stuff like that. My point overall is don't lose hope, because they're out there. And the trick to finding your perfect partner is not getting, better at like going through the hay
or
and the
pretending
stack
to be somebody else.
Well, that's never going to work.
Yeah.
That's never going to work. The key is becoming more magnetic. Become the type of person, man or woman, who basically represents the type of person your perfect partner would find irresistible. And then you go about your life and you simply broadcast a higher frequency, a more coherent vibration, a little, esoteric and woo-woo. I get that. That's me. But you will eventually draw these people into your life. You'll be better at recognizing the ones who aren't worthy of your time. You'll be able to more easily let them go. And again, the things you used to chase will show up more naturally to you. Don't settle though, because I reached a point in my last long-term relationship, which ended 3 years before I met Steph, where I was like, it was comfortable, which is a trap, by the way, right? It was comfortable. I'm like, it's good enough. It's not bad. And there were points where I thought like, oh, I wish it was all bad because it would be easier to end it that way. That was just a cop out. I realized I had to, again, risk being alone forever if I was going to have the possibility of finding the right person. But you do that. Don't settle, and you'll find that maybe sooner than you think you'll find that perfect person for you.
Yeah, and that's one of the things like when we work with clients is discovering self. What am I passionate about? What am I interested in? And, if you watch the 2 other days of trainings, we talked about all those different parts that we need to work on after we've ended this toxic relationship to really start reconnecting to ourselves. So the more connected you are to yourself, the more that you know who you are, the more you are broadcasting the light of someone that is going to be attracted to that. What a lot of us do is we don't know who we are. We're broadcasting this jumbled signal. And of course, we're getting people that are not our person because they're being attracted to the person that's not really us. Now, that doesn't mean there's like a final step of I'm now me. This is, me. There should be one. And actually, when we got married, one of the things that we talked about in our vows was being able to continue to grow as individuals and allow each other to be that person and to keep inspiring each other. I mean, I inspire myself, but we get to inspire each other as well to keep growing and learning. So hopefully that answered that question. I'm going to take this opportunity again to jump in and say, if you haven't written down a question yet, please do so. Again, we've got Instagram, we've got YouTube, we've got Facebook. Ask those questions. Take this opportunity to get into our heads. So the next question that is being asked by Tiffany, and I thank you, I appreciate this question, is how much is a session? And so that's a really great question. And this is what I'm going to say. We like to know what's going on for you. So if you are looking to get help, what I recommend is the Essentials Toolkit, which is $30. It is a 45-minute consultation with me. You get that time with me where you and I, we get to talk and we get to talk Zoom so we can see each other's faces. And you get my book, a signed copy of my book, my workbook and a digital copy of my book so that you can start reading my book immediately. And then you have some homework and stuff to do. But during that session, we can get real clarity on what specifically we need to do in order to help you. Now, we can figure out a plan of action together. Is it going to be a unlimited one-on-one sessions with us for the month? Is it going to be our 10-week program, the Brilliant Life Blueprint? Is it one-on-one sessions? We've got deep dives with me for an hour. We've got mini sessions. We've got Psych K sessions with David. And that's going to be the next question that I think we're going to answer, is the Psych K stuff. But we've got all those different things, but we can't necessarily know what you need. And, because it's very specific. Everyone's in a different place in their healing journey. So we need to know really where you're at and what the best level of support is. Sometimes unlimited access to us for an entire month is like literally exactly what we need to like catapult us to the next place. Sometimes it's like, I need the community of the Brilliant Life Blueprint. Some people might say, I'm too busy. I just want to be able to set up appointments, when I can. Fine too. But we need to know really what's going on and where you are in your life to be able to figure that out. So I definitely would recommend signing up for the Essentials Toolkit. And actually, can you put that link in there? Because anybody that's watching, that's definitely what I would recommend. If you're like, this is a lot of great information. I'm not really sure what to do. I don't know what direction to go in. Sign up for the Essentials Toolkit. It's only $30. I mean, you could go straight to Amazon and just buy my book and workbook for $30. Like that's how much it costs on Amazon. But here you get it signed and you get a full 45-minute session with me, which is worth $150. So, take advantage of that. Let's jump on a call together and let's figure out what the best solution is for wherever you are and for wherever you're feeling stuck.
Yeah. And just to, add to that, the reality is we have options to help people everywhere from free to our high-end signature program, Brilliant Life Blueprint, which is a 4-figure investment. What Stephanie is saying, just to kind of put a different spin on it, is that rather than just like sell our services, what makes the biggest difference for us and for our members and clients is the ability to connect with us and find out if you vibe with what we're doing anyway. So we don't take a one-size-fits-all approach. The opportunity to get that session with Stephanie is going to provide so much clarity and direction. It's going to give her the opportunity to give you customized advice. And you might say, okay, that's awesome, I'm good. And then you go out and figure it out on your own. You might realize like, okay, no, I love this session. I want to have more one-on-ones, more FaceTime with you personally. You might decide that a Psych K mindset change session with me is what you need. Or you might realize that, look, I need the whole kit and caboodle. I want the community. I want the tools. I want the unlimited access to you guys, so that the higher end program might be a better fit. We're not going to sell you anything. We're not going to take your money unless we know that we can actually help you. And it's more to, it's in our best interest and yours to find out like whether or not we're even a good fit to work together. So like Steph said, the Essentials Toolkit is a great opportunity to get your bearings, to get some FaceTime with her, to get the book and workbook, which are great tools to start off with. And it's going to give you a lot of clarity. And then you can decide if you want to work with us more, closely after that. We have those options too.
Yeah, I mean, we can discuss that. I mean, with our expertise, again, we've helped hundreds of women heal from toxic relationships and thrive in ways they never could have imagined. So again, that phone call can really help us really come up with a real crystallized solution with all of the knowledge that we have to help you with the exact steps that you need to take in order to get the results that you're looking for. Heal, get that great relationship, have that great job, whatever it is that you're needing that support with, we can help come up with an actual customized plan that's specific for you. So thank you for that question. That was a great question. David's going to put in the link for the toolkit.
Yeah, we'll see.
So, actually, I was going to say I can do that, but I can't because we're on Instagram. All right. So one of the questions that people come up all the time is, and I'm going to David, you might not want to type right now. We might have to go back to the Essentials Toolkit afterwards. One of the questions that we get asked all the time is, what the heck is Psych K? Because if you go into our group, you look at the testimonials, you hear our clients talk about it. Psych K is like, they call it like the magic, like this magical thing that I did called Psych K really helped me shift. And we see, it's such a beautiful thing. And of course, like we kind of joke around, David's a little bit more the woo, I'm a little bit more the grounded one. So you kind of get that mixture when you're working with both of us. But what's so cool about the Psych K session is that it helps with that negative subconscious belief that I'm not good enough, that healthy relationships aren't for me. And so when I was in toxic relationships, and the reason why I wrote my book, Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt, is because I had a belief that love was uncomfortable. Love was hard. You had to work really hard for it. And you didn't end a marriage because that was bad. I grew up in a Christian household. You made the relationship work. And if something bad was going on in the relationship, it was all my fault. Those were all of the thoughts that I had. And of course, also, I got to help everybody else. And what I need is not really that important. That's really selfish. So what's really cool with clients, and I'm going to let David talk about it because this is his expertise. He gets really passionate talking about Psych-K because of the beautiful results that happen with our clients. And we see it every single day of how to shift from that subconscious level at a place where we just naturally feel like we deserve more. And it's such a cool thing to experience with our clients. So why don't you go ahead and tell everybody, like, what is Psych-K? Is it some magical woo, or is it like, what is it exactly?
Well, thank you. And of course, I could talk for hours, so I'm going to do my utmost to keep this succinct.
We'll time you.
And to the point. But Psych-K is really a blend of tools for change. It's a combination of cutting edge understanding in neuroscience as well as ancient mind-body wisdom. It's based on the idea that our outcomes in life are a result of what we focus on a daily basis. All right. For good or bad, what we think about on a regular basis tends to be what shows up in our lives. All right. I quote one of my favorite teachers, Wayne Dyer, all the time, where he said, "We get what we think about, whether we want it or not." So again, when you learn information passively, like you get some new insights, maybe you go to therapy, you understand these things, that's great on a superficial level to understand certain things, but that's a conscious understanding. Psych-K in the community, we acknowledge that 95 to 99% of our thoughts on a daily basis are coming from the habitual mind, the subconscious mind, the storehouse for our beliefs, our perceptions, our attitudes, our values. That's why you can learn something new and be like, oh, great, I'm inspired, I'm motivated, I'm going to do this new thing, New Year's resolution, maybe you get a new insight from a therapy session, whatever, and you're like, oh, I got it now. And then you find yourself backsliding into old patterns. Anyone recognize that? I know it was true for me for a long time. The reason that is because if you don't get that insight and wisdom from your conscious mind into the subconscious mind, it's not going to stick. It's not going to direct your habits of thinking, feeling, and behavior. So very simply, Psych-K is a way to quickly and easily access the subconscious level of the mind, which is the storehouse for your beliefs, and transform beliefs that are not supportive into ones that are supportive. Quick backstory, right? These programs get installed generally when we're very young, from birth, or some would even say like third trimester, when we can sense like our parents fighting, right, while we're still in the womb, up to about age 5, 6, or 7. At that point, we don't have differentiated consciousness. We're in literally a state of hypnosis, theta brain waves. We're just downloading. You're neglecting me. Okay, so I guess that means that I don't matter. Parents are fighting. That means that I'm not safe. I'm getting abused. That must mean that I'm not worthy and deserving of love and good treatment, right? Sound familiar? All right, so that stage is when we get programmed the most. The other time we get programmed with these beliefs is during times of heightened emotion. Unfortunately, for the people who work with us, it's usually trauma, okay? That's going to define our sense of self. And the reality is there's no area of life where our beliefs about that don't matter, whether it's self-esteem, right? What we're worthy and deserving of, what we're capable of, whether it's personal power, right? Our ability to take decisive action to do the things we know we need to do in order to move our lives forward. We have beliefs that affect relationships. They're hard or they're easy. People can't be trusted, or I'm open, whatever have you. Our physical health and wellness, mind-body wisdom shows clearly, and there's, tons of studies on this, everything from the placebo effect to spontaneous remissions, show that our subconscious beliefs, our perceptions about ourselves and the world have a huge impact on our physiological health. Just think of how much disease is related to chronic stress, which is simply a function of what's in here. Okay. Prosperity, your ability to attract and keep ample money in your life. How you process grief and loss, whether that's loss of a relationship, a loved one, or just change in life. And there's always going to be change. And then, of course, your sense of spirituality, your connection to something higher than yourself. Your beliefs about those areas affect the outcomes. So very simply, Psych K is a way for us to take a look at your outcomes right now. Okay. How do you feel about yourself? All right. Get a sense of where you're at. If that's not where you want to be, if there's a gap, then we simply take a look at the type of person you would have to be inherently in order to naturally create and attract those things without struggle. Then we reverse engineer the mindset of that person and use Psych K as a very simple, non-invasive, but effective process to basically upgrade your mental software, to make you at a deep level that type of person. This is beyond wishful thinking, affirmations, willpower. That stuff doesn't work, right? Willpower is a conscious effort. But if your willpower, your conscious mind is running the show 5% of the time, and then you've got the subconscious 95% pulling in the opposite direction, you're going to be spinning your wheels. You're going to be backsliding. So this is really kind of our secret sauce, because working with Stephanie, for example, you get the insight, the understanding of like, okay, this is what a healthy relationship is. This is what I should be aiming for in my life. This is what I can feel and be and experience and understand in my life. And then what we do is we take Psych K to take that wisdom and make it real for you, so you're not fighting yourself anymore. It's a brilliant way to eliminate self-sabotage and really just get out of your own way and become the best version of yourself. One of the cool things about this is it doesn't matter how long you've been screwed up or how you got screwed up. You know, it's really no more difficult than editing a Word document. You know, you could have a Word document and the file is titled self-esteem. And it was programmed decades ago, right? It's maybe filled with 100 pages of garbage. You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not worthy. Life is too tough, blah, blah, blah. In reality, in order to change your outcomes in life, all you need to know is how to access that file, how to edit it, and how to click save. Now, your habitual thoughts, your habits, right? And most of us probably have habits we'd like to change, right? Your habits are now going to be a reflection of this improved programming, this improved sense of self. And again, what's brilliant about this is that it's not about trying harder, right? Because a rose doesn't have to try to bloom faster or more beautifully than it does on its own. All you really need to do is just pull out the weeds. Then it starts to flourish, you know, and whether you're you're experiencing toxicity from, self-loathing, from a history of toxic relationships, from poor habits in terms of your like physical and emotional health, the instant you shift at this fundamental level, your system will move back into healing and growth mode. Okay. Psych K is a brilliant way to get out of that fight or flight mode, right? That's the source of your chronic stress and anxiety and frustration and fear and confusion. You can become the best version of yourself. And that's not to say that who you are isn't perfect as you are. I believe that. A tiger can't change his stripes. You came here for a reason. You have a personality. But this is a way to eliminate any of the aspects that aren't reflective of who you truly are at a deep level. And the side effect of this work, because you can use this to support you in achieving any goal, any worthy goal that you choose, whether that's just feeling better about yourself, feeling better about your prospects in life, or achieving grand things. But the biggest and most powerful side effect of this work is peace of mind. And let me tell you something. When you achieve that level of peace of mind that doesn't depend, like I said, on anything external always going your way, when you have a deep sense of like, no matter what happens, I got this, I can handle it, it makes all the difference in the world. And it's so foundational to creating sustainable change, which is why, and I was doing this work before Steph and I collaborated on our programs together. It's really kind of that secret sauce. It lets you take that amazing knowledge and wisdom you gain from understanding what a healthy relationship is and what you should be asking for and looking for in your life, and making it your new natural knee-jerk reaction. So you can achieve the life that you desire without so much struggle. It's profound. It's beautiful. We've used it to help people heal childhood trauma, overcome PTSD, chronic stress, depression, anxiety. Again, we're not doctors, consult with your doctor, but we've had clients who, thinking of one of our recent clients, just unsolicited said, you know what, I was prescribed anti-anxiety meds on an as needed basis, and I just don't feel like I need them anymore. And that was after a Psych-K session with me, which was included and we still include in our Brilliant Life Blueprint program. Again, we believe in addressing an issue at the level where it exists. We're never going to say, stop taking your meds. Okay. So consult with your doctor. But the reality is, if your pain and suffering is a function of just focusing on the wrong stuff, you can change your attitudes, your beliefs. And again, that's going to change your neurochemistry, the way your brain is wired. And it literally happens in most cases, 2 to 5 minutes. People have profound transformations in one session. For some people, they're like onions. They need to peel back the layers, maybe a couple sessions. But, I'm thinking of another client of ours, Lynn, who's one among many, who has said that she achieved more transformation in just 1 or 2 sessions with me than all of her years of therapy combined. And again, I'm not throwing stones at traditional talk-based therapists, but if you've been there for months or years and like, we're talking about the same stuff over and over again, my life is not changing. Well, it's because they don't have the tools to change. You can understand consciously why you should change, but until you change at the subconscious level, you're just going to be spinning your wheels. And again, it's so beautiful because when you do that, you can become the peace that you've sought for so long.
And thank you for that, David. I think that was really helpful. Hopefully that was helpful for everybody watching. The Essentials Toolkit link was you sent to me as a text message. So look at that. And if you can type it in up here so that everyone except for Instagram will come back, and I will put that link in there for you on Instagram in the comments. But all the other ones, if you put it in here, I think it'll go to YouTube and Facebook. Yep, right there. Cool. All right. So this is one of the things that I think too is so important to talk about. And I have like 3 more questions, but again, if you have a question, you're watching live, you're taking precedent over anything else. So ask those questions. Again, take advantage of using our brains to answer whatever questions, wherever you are feeling stuck. When you're working with us, you get to do that unlimitedly. If you're doing our program, Brilliant Life Blueprint, if you're doing unlimited sessions with David and I monthly, then you can just use our knowledge as needed. So you have to put it up there. Okay. So, I want everyone to kind of remind themselves too, what would be good for you, or how would your life change, I think is the right wording, if you were able to figure out all of the things that you haven't been able to figure out yet? If in like 10 weeks, if it was a month, if it was even, just a few months, all of those things that you've been trying to figure out on your own for years and years and years, or with the help of therapy, what would that give you back? That energy, that time, money, all of those things would be given back to you for you to use at your disposal, whatever it is that you want to use that time, money, and energy for. Think about, we can't get our time back. So the sooner that we get the exact right tools, the exact right support in order to create that change that we're looking for quickly, then we can go on and live the rest of our lives as the best of our lives. Then we don't have to keep sitting here and keep thinking about over and over again. Because that was actually one of the questions that I had that was here was, I feel like a failure. Why can't I figure it out on my own? So, here's the thing. We can't figure it out on our own because we're living our own personal experience. And again, a lot of therapists are not able to give us the right tools. And that's what they've learned. And it's nothing against therapists. That's just not what they do. So making sure that we are able to get the exact right tools and support that we need in order to heal is life-changing. And it can happen really quickly so that we are not wasting any more time. And of course, what David does, what we do with clients, again, hundreds of women over the years, this is what we get to do every single day in order to help people heal and actually stop the cycle. So I see, David, you put it up on the screen, which is perfect. That way people can see it. But that's what that is. Leave it there because I think that's a great spot for people that are watching to be able to get that link, because that way, no matter where they're streaming from, they can see the link.
Cool. Right on.
Cool. All right. So yeah, I think I pretty much answered the questions. I feel like a failure. Why can't I figure it out on my own? We're smart people. And working with intelligent women, we're used to figuring it out. We're successful in other areas of our lives. We're just not successful when it comes to relationships. And so we think, what's wrong with me that I can't figure it out? But we've gotten education for our careers. We've had certain expectations, certain learning experiences that have helped us learn to be and act a certain way. But when it comes to relationships, a lot of us haven't learned that groundwork of what we needed. We haven't really gotten that self-esteem. We haven't really gotten that clarity that we need in order to create what we're looking for. We don't know the steps. Because if you notice, some people, they just naturally attract great relationships. You're like, how did that person get the most perfect relationship ever? I don't understand it. But they had those tools already. They learned those tools somehow. And sometimes you come from the best families. Sometimes you come from the worst families. And you could have a great relationship or not have a great relationship. Either way, you haven't actually learned those tools that in order to use them in your life. That's where we come in, right? So if once you have those tools, how much easier is it to achieve all of the things, the health, wealth, and fitness, or no,
relationships,
health, wealth, and relationships that you want when you have those tools, when it's just there for you?
Yeah, there's an expression comes to mind: luck favors the prepared, right? And the people who are most successful and the people who choose to work with us are those that understand the value of investing in themselves, not just money, but time and attention and energy, because this is work. We have the shortcuts that have helped people, rapidly accelerate their results and just feel better. I mean, like, that's kind of like what we're all after anyway, the feelings.
I'm thinking about Dr. Lee, who was talking about how she, working with us, and all of a sudden she just felt like she deserved better relationships. And I think that's one of those things, like, think of all like the work that you're doing and all this overload of information. A lot of us, we're experts at looking stuff up. I became an expert at looking up, what's narcissism, what's codependency, what's this, what's that, attachment styles, whatever. We are experts at all these things, And again, we work with a lot of really smart people because they're successful people, right? And they're like, I just want to figure it out. But once you actually feel in your body, I deserve more, then we protect our energy. Then we know at a deep subconscious level that I will not accept anything other than what is best for me. And when we can help our clients do that, oh my God, that's where the great relationships, the more money. A client making $120K more than she was making before because one of her toxic relationships was her work, people achieving things they're losing weight, not needing surgery because now they don't have pain in their body anymore because they had such bad arthritis, and now the arthritis magically went away. A lot of health issues are associated with stress. Stress and health issues are very strongly correlated. So again, since we come from a holistic perspective, when we help clients, we're looking at their nutrition, we're looking at their exercise, we're looking at their socialization, like who are they hanging out with, their interdependence, what are they doing for themselves? Like, we're looking at the full picture and looking at it's kind of like when you're working out and you're trying to gain more muscle, you got to work that muscle from different angles. And once you're able to get that muscle growth from different angles, you're able to notice that difference. Well, that's what permanent lifelong healing is being able to heal from different angles. And that's what our expertise is to be able to find where you are and help you get to that place using those different angles. Now, Tiffany said, thank you for this link. This is wonderful information. I'm feeling very grateful for this. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks.
And this is why we wanted to come on, because we wanted to make sure that we answered any questions. And I see some people popping on and off. If you're just coming on now, I 100% recommend starting from the beginning, going back after we're done and going through this entire Q&A, because there was a lot of questions that came up that were really important. And I think you'll get a lot out of it. If you're just starting now, definitely do that. If you're watching this as a replay, again, feel free to still ask questions and we will make sure to answer those questions. I see another question popping up. Do you want to read it?
Okay, showing up as, okay, I can see this is Ruth. Thank you, Ruth, for writing. Ruth writes, I definitely feel like a failure. My first marriage ended in divorce. My second husband was fantastic. We had over 30 years together, but he died from cancer 6 years ago. And my third marriage is ending in divorce. He was the absolute worst, extremely abusive, emotionally, physically, and psychologically. He pretended to be someone he wasn't when we first met, love bombed me, and was a total narcissist. Such a terrible time in my life for the last 5 years. Yes, I feel like a total failure. First of all, sorry, Ruth.
Yeah.
We hear this stuff all the time. I got to be honest, and it doesn't make us happy to hear that. with the exception of the reality that we know we've helped people who've been in that situation. Steph, if I can share, felt in a sense like she may be a failure if she ended her toxic marriage.
Yeah.
We've had women who've come to us literally married and divorced 3 times or more, and feeling like this is I'm just damaged goods. I'm broken. The reality is you're not. Now, you've experienced some bad and some good. You talk about, the relationship that was good. And, part of the problem is that we get stuck in the past because we're identified with who we were then and what we had then, good, bad, and ugly. I talk a lot about us being like the equivalent of emotional hoarders, right? If you've ever seen that show, your psyche, your mental, emotional headspace is like your household. And we just can't let go of stuff. Good, bad, and ugly, it accumulates. And we get to this point where we're like, I feel like a failure. The walls are closing in on me. And again, you have memories you've been holding on to of trauma and abuse. You got nostalgia, right? Memories of good things. Maybe you held on out of a secret fear that you'd never feel that good again. And again, my point is, Ruth, is that it doesn't matter how you got to where you are. Okay. When you're talking about feeling like a total failure, there's only 2 ways that you can fail. 1, you give up. 2, you don't take the opportunity to learn the lessons that your life challenges have presented you. Okay. Now, what the benefit is of working one-on-one with somebody who genuinely cares about your success, and Stephanie and I definitely do, this is our passion, is you have the guidance to navigate this cluster, of emotions and thoughts that you may be feeling. You have the support to get the boost that you need to help, cheer you on when you make those wins, big or small, and a shoulder to lean on and someone to talk to who actually understands, to give you that support as you're going through this healing and growth process. And most importantly, tools that will help you declutter your mind, your heart, your emotions, your life, to help you understand what is most important for you and how to get a clear path to cut out more wasted months and years of frustration and sadness and anger and feeling like a failure. I mean, quite literally, we help people overcome that in a matter of minutes with a session with us. Now, that's not to say that life magically, falls in your lap and everything goes your way without change. All right. But if you're feeling like a failure right now, you're inhibiting your potential to have a better future. I love the expression, the wake doesn't drive the boat. In other words, what you've experienced in the past and up until now need not have any influence at all on where you're going. And again, like Steph said, that's one of the key differences, why we decided to be coaches instead of therapists, because we're not therapists. We could have gone there. We've studied that. We have a deep understanding of human psychology, but we're focused on where you go from here. Okay. And that's, for me, the big difference between change and transformation. Subtle distinction, but change is, to me, just rearranging old ingredients, hoping you're going to come up with a new recipe. All right. Transformation is becoming a person for whom your old life is obsolete, right? You don't change by fighting the old. You change by creating a new reality, a new paradigm that simply makes the old obsolete. You don't have to fight or struggle. So again, Ruth, like I empathize with you, but I want to encourage you that if you're feeling like a failure right now, feel that. Get into it. And you know what? Sometimes you got to realize when you're feeling like you're in chaos and things are like crumbling down around you, that's a good sign. It's a good sign because that means that there's still opportunity for you to radically transform your life. And you know what? Like, hit us up and we'll have a chat. There's no obligation. Like, we can see if you're a good fit. I'll be honest. Some people are so identified with their past pain that they can't even imagine who they would be without it. They're so afraid of the uncertainty of the unknown, the fear of change, that they're like locked into their past selves. If that's you, like, you might have to hit rock bottom a few more times before you're like, okay, now I must change, right? We work with people who know that they must change. And we give you the tools to do that really quickly. And again, you can feel better super quick. Again, it doesn't matter how many divorces you've had, how long you felt this way. And again, at the end of the day, the prize that we're all after is the feelings. We do the things we do because we perceive that doing those things is going to make us feel a certain way. Not always based in logic, and you're saying you are at rock bottom. Well, maybe the only way to go is up from here. So again, we encourage you to have a chat with myself or Steph. Shoot us a private message if you're in the group or what have you. We can reach out and see if what we do could possibly help you. Like it's helped so many others.
Yeah, I look forward to, actually, David doesn't know this, we're chatting on Monday, so I look forward to that, Ruth.
Awesome.
So
thank you for sharing that as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to say, we're getting close to the end, unless there are more questions. I mean, if there are more questions, we will stick around and answer whatever questions. I think we kind of answered all of the questions that we were emailed. If we missed your question, please make sure to still post it. But I'm going to just add to what David said really quickly and just say, Ruth, we actually, I never understood this until we started working with so many people, is that it is a very common occurrence after a spouse passes away for us to get into shitty relationships. It is a very common occurrence. That is now something that we have seen many times with clients. So just know, I'm just saying this to say that you are not weird. This is not something we've never heard of. It's actually a very common occurrence. And we can talk about all of the reasons why this is happening. We can talk about all of the ways to get out of why this is happening, we really come up with something together.
Yeah, we help people. I mean, one of the things that our processes help with is healing grief, the pain of loss. You might very well have unresolved stuff in there. And, I found before that sometimes, especially, and I have close family members who have lost loved ones to just before their time. And, people feel sometimes like they owe the pain of their grief. And I want to encourage you that you are not, and I don't know if this is relevant or not, but you are not dishonoring the memory of what you had by healing.
Yeah.
Okay. In fact, you owe it to yourself and the memory of your loved one to do the work to heal. And some people will try to convince you that, oh no, you never get over it. It's not about getting over it. It's about rising above. And you can reach a place where you can honor, love, and appreciate the memory of what was while not being stuck there to the point where you can't receive new, wonderful, joyful abundance in your life. That's what we're about. Healing and growth. All right. We'll meet you where you're at. We can help you there. If you suffered tremendous loss, and a lot of us have, but you don't have to dwell there. You can actually flip the script and become stronger and have more things to be grateful for than you have things to be sorry for in your life. And we wish that for you.
Yep. And it looks like your kids are worried about you too. And so, Ruth, we can definitely help you with that. We can help you work through that. This is something that we deal with pretty often. So I'll be excited to jump on that call with you. So if there are any other questions, please write them down. Again, if you're watching this as a replay, please make sure to still write down those questions. Tag David and I, which just means write our names down. Stephanie McPhail, David Charon, write Charon. Write those names down and it'll tag us. It'll make it blue hyperlink so that you can tag us and we will see the question that you have. Of course, if you're watching this as YouTube, you can still write down the questions. I will be checking YouTube to answer whatever questions that are there as well.
Yeah, hopefully this was helpful for everyone. We love coming on together and just kind of shooting from the hip. We had a lot of great questions come in. So we appreciate you. And again, if you're watching this as a replay on whatever platform, type your questions in there. We'll get back to you because we take what we do seriously. This is our love. It's our passion to be able to share specifically what's worked for us to help create and attract
what's worked with our clients,
our dream lives. So, and it's possible for you. This is something that's on the table for you if you're ready to pick it up.
Yeah. So, in ending, again, I don't see any other questions coming up. And again, if you're just popping on now, definitely start from the beginning. And because there was a lot of really great questions that were asked, we're going to be leaving this up so you can go back and look at these questions and look at this, Q&A again, if you need to. But I just want to add this too. No matter how old you are, no matter how long you've been stuck in these toxic relationships, whether this is your first one or your 20th one, it is not impossible for you to change. And you might not feel that way because you might not have experienced it. You might not know the tools. You might not know right now what you need to do, but it is possible for you. But what makes it impossible is to keep doing what you're doing, to do nothing. That will make it impossible. If we believe that things are not going to change, we're not going to take the right steps in order to make change. So in order for you to create the change that you say that you are needing, then it is important to do whatever it takes to get the right people on your team to make sure that you are creating that life that you are looking for. So I'm going to throw this out there again. I know the link is up on the screen, but I'm going to just say this again. If any of these questions resonated for you, if you are wondering, is it possible for me to change? What should I do? Then I 100% recommend jumping on a call with me on the Essentials Toolkit, which it's $30. So I'm being totally upfront and transparent. It's $30, which is the price of my book and workbook. You get a signed copy of my book. You can go to Amazon and get those straight from Amazon. You won't get it signed though. So you get that. And then you get a free digital copy and a free 45-minute consultation with me where I'm going to hear wherever you are right now. And we're going to talk about a plan. We're going to help direct you, give you direction on what it is that you need in order to heal. Is it going to be unlimited one-on-one sessions with us for a month? Is it going to be our signature program, Brilliant Life Blueprint, where you have community and sessions and some different modules to work through? Is it going to be just one-on-one sessions? Is it going to be just like case sessions? What is it? Is it going to be nothing? Sometimes just after the conversation, we're like, all right, I've got the direction I need. I'm good to go. So that is a great starting point for you to say, hey, you know what? I know that I don't really know what I need to do. I know I need help. Let me talk to Stephanie. Stephanie can send me in the direction and give me her expertise with hundreds of women that she's helped overcome toxic relationships. And I can use her knowledge to help catapult me to the next level. I don't care where you've been. I don't care how long you've been doing the same things. It is possible for you to change with the right help. So if you get nothing else out of this today, the most important thing is you are way stronger than you realize. But asking for help doesn't make you weak. Asking for help makes it possible for you to create that change quickly and stop wasting time, money, and energy on what isn't working and start really stepping into that life where you can be happy, whether you're single, and not settle, so that when you do get into a relationship, it is the most inspiring, wonderful, exciting partnership that you could ever imagine it to be. And that is our hope for you. We want as many people as possible to create their best lives, because this is what I think about all the time when we have another success story with our clients, is the ripple effect of every single person that we get to help healing and how their children get to have that effect. I don't care how old your kids are, whether they're 2 or they're 50, they get to see, hey, my mom, my dad, my parents is doing the work, and look at how much their life has shifted. Look at what has changed. The people around you now get to see you stepping into your power. They get inspired. Oh my gosh, this person has always had stress. They've always seemed so overwhelmed. And now look at where they are now. So keep in mind that vision for yourself. And again, if you haven't watched day 1 and 2 of the webinar, definitely go back. You can comment the word replay in the comments, and we can send you those direct links so that you can watch them. They are in our private Facebook group, Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt. So you're going to have to make sure that you watch it there. But comment replay, and we can send you those links. So if there's no other questions that it said, I just see someone said, my 3 children want that for me.
Yeah, the world needs you to show up as the best version of yourself. Mm-hmm. And
you need you for that.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. It was great hanging out with you. We loved answering all of your questions. Tiffany, we will definitely get you those replay links for day 1 and 2. And if you need to share this with anybody, in your friendship, list, your family list. And again, if they're not a part of our I keep saying Brilliant Life Blueprint because that's our program. If you're not a part of our Being Loved Shouldn't Hurt private Facebook group, please let us know. We can always send you the link to that, and you can join that if you needed to join for webinar day 1 and 2.
As well as hundreds of hours of other free trainings that we've created for you. Mm-hmm. It's a great resource.
So thank you again for tuning in today. It was great hanging out with you, and we will see you in the group. Bye, everybody.